Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, everything goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Welcome to the RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Michael Spiffle-Webbin.
And today we'll be playing chapters
15 through 18 of Xenogears.
15 through 18 of Xenogears.
No, that's a lie. I copy-pasted wrongly. It is chapters...
15 through 18 is right. The names are wrong.
Yes, it's exactly. From Road to Nisan through Desert Despair.
Okay, we're just going to keep it like that in the podcast.
Great. You can
Don't cut it.
hear our blunders, and it's like we're real people.
Look, at least we're not one of those podcasts where someone makes like a super... like a racial slur, and then they're like, we'll cut it, and then they totally don't cut it.
Yeah.
No. I don't think we'd even make the racial slur in the first place.
Yeah, just so y'all know, we also don't cut racial slurs.
Yeah.
We leave them all in. They're all here. Everyone that we've ever said.
If it ever feels like it sounds like we made a cut, it's probably because we were talking about Bukake too much.
Or because someone's phone died.
Yeah, most of our cuts usually is, oh crap, my internet went out.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get started, how was everyone's week?
Sam's week was awesome. Tell us.
My week was super awesome. So I, as of Friday at 6 p.m., will no longer work for Blizzard. And instead, I'm going to work for a staffing company that works for Waymo, Google's self-driving car initiative, which is super duper cool and pays me a lot more money. And literally all of my stresses of like, why did I move to the good side of town are like gone, because like we went from barely keeping ends meet to getting like $600 of just like unmarked cash every month, which is crazy because I got an $800 raise, which means that we had been living $200 in the hole every month. So this will be really good to get caught up and everything. Be great.
That's awesome.
Sam, would you say they're going to be paying you way more money?
Yeah, way more money.
And they say way more money.
Just because this will probably come out after I get the job, and I don't know any of their policies yet. Same rule applies as for Blizzard. Everything I say here is my opinion and not the opinion of Adecco Staffing or Waymo or Google. So
Waymo does not have any official company opinion on Xenogears. So as far as we know,
what if they do? You're like reading their terms of service, and it's like our cars will always stop at red lights, and also Faye and Bart are the best couple of all time.
It'd be amazing.
But how about
what is Waymo's stance on Bowsette?
Oh dear.
Oh, Bowsette.
Oh, my friend just sent me a cursed image too of Peter Griffin with his hands on backwards, dressed as Bowsette, and I'm going to die from looking at this.
That's awful. Was his friend at least aware that it was a cursed image?
Oh yeah. Oh no. Like this is our thing. We send each other cursed images. She's like one of my closest friends. And it's just a back and forth kind of thing. It's just so that, because we end up looking at cursed images and then we have to send them to someone.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, you want to see something it's like, hey, you want to be mad?
Yeah, exactly.
Want to be upset?
Yeah. So that's just our thing. But I might actually die from looking at this one. So especially because of the hands being backwards. Like, it's bad enough that it's Peter Griffin because I fucking hate Family Guy. I won't go on my Family Guy rant, but I hate it. Anyway,
I tried so hard to cut around it for the live episode, and I just couldn't. We talked about it too much. So
I'm so sorry.
I left the entire Simpsons
Everybody
Family Guy
knows
thing.
that.
I mean, the world needs to know. I mean, it's not. It shouldn't. it should not be an uncontroversial. It should not be an uncontroversial.
That's a perfectly cromulent word, Spiffle. It's fine.
It should be an uncontroversial opinion that Family Guy is dumb shit. Like that shouldn't. I don't. Yeah. Like come on, people. On our level.
Yeah. In any case, it's just very upsetting, and I might actually die at some point while we're recording. And if that's the case, I love you all, and I'll miss you.
Okay.
Won't die.
Just get Ken to mail me back my PS3 and we'll be copacetic.
Cool, yeah.
So Eli's dying this week. How about you, Spiffle?
I don't know, man. So much stuff. As I spilled the beans last week on my big heartbreak and breakup, and that's continuing to happen, and it's hard. My brother visited this weekend, which was fantastic. He's a supportive guy. He's so funny. So my brother, shout out to Daniel Webben. Critical support for Daniel Webben, who's definitely not listening to this podcast, because why would he? But, anyway, though, he's funny because, like, he's had 3 relationships in his life. And the first 2, he was the one who broke up with her. Mm-hmm. And then the third one is his current wife. So it's like, he's never, like, even been broken up with, much less experienced heartbreak.
Oh, wow.
And also he doesn't really have like emotions, at least not as many as I do. So like on one level he just like doesn't actually get it, and sometimes he'd be like trying to give me advice or give me his input, and I'm just like, you really don't have any understanding of what I'm feeling right now. But the thing is, it doesn't, like, the fact that he was trying to help was really sweet and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
But then also it turns out the dude's insanely fucking smart. So we had a really great conversation where, despite him really not getting it at all, he was able to help me work through some things. And at one point, he was like, I said something, and he's like, "Well, that doesn't make any sense because blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Yeah, but like, I still feel that way anyway, even though I know it doesn't make sense." And he like stopped for a second, and I could almost see him being like, "Oh yeah." Sometimes people have emotions that are irrational. I forgot about that. It was a really freaking good time. It's the best day I've had in 6 weeks. So that was awesome.
I'm glad.
Yeah, and then I got to sleep last night and got to sleep for like 6 hours instead of 90 minutes like last time, because I didn't wait till midnight to start playing Xenogears.
I'm so proud of you. Good job.
So I'm doing pretty good, actually.
I'm glad. So last time we fought in the Budokai Tenkaichi and played a stealth mini game that kind of, like, at first I was like, it was a stealth mini game that didn't actually suck, but then I remembered it did suck, and I just went through it as a dungeon and not as a stealth mini game. So, yeah.
And then we saved Margie, who is really cute and is TBH the best character. And a bunch of bullshit happened because it's Xenogears. And then we are now on the road to Nisan. And it's kind of funny. The chapter Road to Nisan is literally just going to Nisan. It's like 5 minutes. And then you get there, and it's the next chapter.
Yeah, they give you a chapter for this tiny cutscene between Sigurd and Saitan that we start with.
It's to make you feel good. Like, the chapter changing so quickly is like, you get a short chapter in a book, and it's like, wow, I read a whole chapter tonight. Setting the book down. Yeah. Like, I accomplished something.
Seriously. What is this short chapter between Faye and Sigurd? Apparently not Faye. Saitan? Apparently I didn't write this one down.
Oh, so this one I actually liked a lot. So Sigurd and Saitan are in the open, in like the vending machine lounge area of the Yggdrasil, talking about how
they're... Again with the no infosec.
Yeah, just talking about how they're aliens and everything is so weird down here, and it's so cool that we're all aliens, and I hope that nobody ever finds out that we're aliens. Unfortunately, Faye and Bart are sitting on the stairs watching them.
We're literally right there, like above them.
And are just like, oh, dang, I guess they're aliens. Whoops. And here in a little bit, they like argue about the fact that they're aliens and that nobody told them. But it's just like, the zero infosec whatsoever. They're just like, oh, remember how we're called elements and we're from the training school Jugend? Huh. Weird. And they talk about how they know Maiev or whatever her name is, and
Myung?
Yeah, Myung. Yeah. And they're just like, elements is something pretty important, and all of us are elements. I hope this vital information makes its way to Faye somehow.
Great. That's basically it.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's like it also has some like Faye x Bart smut going on of them talking together.
Yeah, basically, like every other scene now is just Faye and Bart being like, bruh, I respect you. Bruh. What would I do without you, bro? You're my homie. And he's like, no, you're my homie. And he's like, did you guys see the tweet about the platonic solid?
No.
Hold on, let me look it up. Platonic solid tweet. Come on. Where is it? Here we go. This guy tweets, the tetrahedron is the second coolest platonic solid, right next to tucking your homie in for bed. That was at @0SumeGabe, which is a very good @.
That's so good.
Yeah, tucking your homie in for bed is anyway, so Road to Nisan is literally just it's just a spot on the world map, and you click on a spot on the map called Road to Nisan, and I guess that's like an underground sand tunnel.
Yeah.
Because they never really explained how the hell this sand submarine thing works. It's kind of bizarre, but
they do at the end of today's play session, like incessantly for her, like.
They try.
Yeah, just exposition in between all the important stuff that I was just like, none of this is real. Like, you could have just never said any of it.
Oscillator fins. Anyway, so you go through this tunnel, and you go to a little island, and it's like a little underground dock. And yeah, now you're in the town of Nisan, which is, I think, a really beautiful town.
Yeah.
It's really cool architecture. It looks sort of like, I'm not 100% up on my pre-modern architecture, but I believe it's sort of a pastoral France sort of architectural style.
Yeah, that's. I'm not.
Seems it.
Yeah, I'm
thinking
not
about the round. I'm thinking about like
either, but from my art history, I can say that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like the roundness of like the verandas and stuff. So I think well, the roofs are definitely weirder. The roofs are definitely a more exotic sort of shape, but so certain elements of it have that feel, and then like the way that the stone roads and stuff work. Anyway, it's another wonderfully designed town. It's got an upper level and a lower level, and a little nice little dinky little cobblestone bridge.
So one thing this town also has is a world map, but one thing this town doesn't deserve is a world map. You really have one area and then a cathedral, which you could have just had like a loading zone to take you to the cathedral, not have to walk up to it to the world map. But it's
did you see
cool,
the really cute NPC that discusses that?
Yeah, it's like you can walk here. There's nothing there. Yeah. You can walk all the way around and come back, but there's nothing there.
So I think part of the reason is because they just wanted you to know the layout of this place, because it is cool. It's like it's this big lake, and in the middle of the lake is the giant cathedral, and then around the lake is this little cute little path that goes all the way around the lake. And yeah, this NPC is like, if you exit here, you can run all the way around the lake and then come back. You should do it. Nothing there. There's no reason to though. but I did, and I like it because it takes like 10 seconds to run around the lake. But for Faye and his friends, that did not take 10 seconds.
Yeah,
that was quite the workout for them.
Yeah, and they come back. You're like, you're right. There was literally nothing there. Why didn't we do this?
It's like going all the way around Lake Merritt out here in Oakland, which I still haven't done because I'm too lazy. But anyway, I will one of these days. So anyway, you go around. Nisan is I guess it's just like a bunch of nuns live there, but it's also a town. It's just a self-contained, seems sort of just like a.
It's like a city-state type thing.
City-state, yeah. They have some history that is sort of revealed later a little bit. And yeah, they talk a little bit about the religion. It seems to be a very sort of like kind of just abstract, like let's all be nice to each other kind of religion, which is in a lot of ways the best kind of religion.
Right.
Is there anything else interesting in the town? I didn't screenshot any NPCs or anything, so I don't think it was the most fascinating town.
So the main thing that happens in the town is you stumble upon the elders.
Oh yeah,
and the elders are like, yeah, there's a lot of contention and Ave, and because Bart just stole Margie back, but there's a big old army coming at us, and everything sucks. And then Bart overhears that and is like, don't talk about this in front of Margie. I don't want her to feel like her coming back caused a big war. She would really hate that. And Bart is a really good guy. And then you make it to the cathedral.
A really, really good guy. Yeah. So you basically overhear all the town elders being like, we might have to have a war. Shit. The cathedral is another just incredible piece of 3D design.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's huge. And it does that thing where when you rotate the camera, shit in the foreground gets in your way, but only a little bit. And I think in this case, I honestly think it does it for good effect because it lets you see how tall and big this place is. But yeah, like it's mostly not a big deal. And there's like light coming from a stained glass window, and there's just engravings and inlays, like gold inlays everywhere.
Yeah, there's a little cutscene here in a second where you're looking out over the cathedral when you get up to the second floor, and there's just like chandeliers at different places, like on the z-axis, that like move at different parallax as the camera's moving by. It's like one of the prettiest things, and it's like the chandeliers are a loose collection of pixels. Like it shouldn't be this good looking, but it's like incredible. It's
just fucking good as hell. Yeah, and the camera work here is great too. When you're on the bottom floor, the camera's got kind of a high angle. And then when you go up to the second floor, it moves to a perfectly side-on angle where if you have a camera pointed one way, like where you're behind the wall, then of course the wall, becomes invisible and you just see a view across the cathedral. So you just see across to the other balcony, because it's a balcony that goes around, right? Because it's an open, most of the cathedral's an open room. And then you can see the statue, and you can see sort of the front of the cathedral where the more churchy, like religious iconography is. Or if you rotate the camera the other way, which is the default way that it's rotated, it's a side view looking at you from the off of the balcony, so you can see the wall behind you. So it just got this flat, this flat sort of profile view. Anyway, it owns. It's
so pretty.
It's beautiful. So you get to the cathedral, and when you get there, a bunch of nuns are in the middle of singing.
Yeah. And the song is really good.
Yeah, and the song is good and important and will show up a lot more throughout the game.
Another thing that I think is cool is it's canon that the nuns are singing this song. So you talk to them, and they stop singing, and they come over to do the cutscene. Then when you finish the cutscene, they go back to singing, and then after you go and you do your things, the nuns have stopped singing, and there's a different song for the church. And I was just like, that's cool.
Yeah.
It turns out the music is actually diegetic, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And they have to really signpost it because, of course, from a sound design standpoint, they certainly did not have the technology to make music sound diegetic. Like in a movie, you can tell if something is a score or if it's like coming from a stereo in the room because it'll be mixed differently. But of course, they can't do that in a video game. So they have to, in this old video game, so they have to just very clearly signpost like, oh yeah, no, they're singing this.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't think anything happened on the bottom floor. They're just like,
the main thing
we're so glad that Margie's back, basically.
the main thing that happens is one of many jinxes that people give in the first half of our playthrough today, where Margie is like, "I'll never go anywhere or leave you from now on. I'll never make you worry ever again." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like a jinx."
Yeah.
Like, Margie, don't say that. Yeah, so they're just like really happy Margie's back, and at this point, there's really no tension or anything. Like, you don't really have like a goal, which is cool.
Yeah, she just goes up to be like, "Oh, let me show you around," and she walks off, and you follow Margie, and that's
so you
it.
Follow her, and you go up to the second floor, and there's all these different rooms. It's funny, Margie's like, "Follow me," and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna explore every room though."
I didn't realize there were other rooms.
I didn't either.
At all, because the doors aren't signposted very well at all. And so later you have to go through one of them to do the plot. And I was like, I've been in everything. There's nothing here. What do I do? And then I was spamming A, and an ornate piece of wall opened. And I'm like, oh, that was a door.
Also, you might have the camera pointing the other way where the wall and the door are invisible.
Yeah.
Depending on how you have your camera pointed. So it's only like one or two rooms. But yeah.
Yeah.
So the rooms are just impeccably designed. The room I have a screenshot of here is like, it's got like a checkerboard floor and these tables and all these lamps. And again, the walls are just super engraved and everything is glowy and there's a lighting engine. It's just great.
Yeah.
So you go to this one room and all these nuns are just chatting. And I don't remember what they all say. But one of them is just musing philosophically. And she's just like talking about fighting. And she says something that I think is basically a description of our podcasting community, where she goes, "Perhaps it is our fate to be forever at Discord with each other." Like, yeah, same. Yeah, so you follow and you go up and you go up and you go up, and then you get to the second floor, and you see in the front of the cathedral. You couldn't see this earlier because of the camera angle. Mm-hmm. There's these giant angel statues at the front of the cathedral. And there's two Sephiroths. That's right, two one-winged angels. Mm-hmm. And they are, and they're like holding their hands out to each other. And Margie explains it, and she's like, yeah, like, that symbolizes how, like, God created us with human, he could have made humans perfect, but instead he made humans each with only one wing, so we need each other in order to fly. And everyone's like, oh, that's so sweet. And Bart's like, I don't get it. Wouldn't it be easier to just have two wings?
Yeah. And then one thing that I thought was probably important or ham-fisted foreshadowing, but one of the angels is male and the other is female. And Saitan says, usually these depictions are not gender-specific. And I'm like, that probably means that this is Faye and Ellie.
But also, it's like, wait, you're telling me this game's extremely heteronormative? That's a surprise.
Right?
It's like, God, even the cosmological helping each other out angels are a man and a woman. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I'm glad that Sam is able to pick up on patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, y'all are like, oh, that's sweet. And then she's like, you know what? I don't normally do this, but this is Xenogears, and there's no infosec. So, y'all want to see the super, super, super precious painting of Sophia?
Yeah, our literally most prized possession of Nisan. That there's like a huge waiting list, and you usually come in under armed guards. Yeah, you have to go to bureaucracy to get to see the painting of Sophia, but you want to see it, and y'all are just like, yeah, sure. So you go to the very tippy top of the cathedral, including some very lengthy staircases, and you get to a scene that I saw Eli dunking on a little bit in the comment, which is so funny. You go into this room, and the way the camera's pointed is the painting is on essentially the fourth wall, so you can't see it, right? And Saitana is just like, wow, what a beautiful painting. And then they talk about the painting for like a minute or two before the camera finally rotates to reveal the painting.
As it was doing that, I was like, it's fun to imagine things.
And,
it's really funny.
Like,
but it's actually...
I see why they do it, because you want to get all of the stuff from Saitan where he's like, oh, this looks so familiar, blah, 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 talking about it. Hey, Faye, it looks like your drawings, before you turn around and it's fucking Ellie.
Yeah, it's a total cute little fake out, because, so what Saitan says, he's just like, this painting's beautiful. Also, Faye, doesn't this seem familiar to you? And Faye's like, wow, it does seem familiar to me. Holy shit. And the camera rotates, and yeah, it's literally just a fucking painting of Ellie, but with different colored hair. No, not even. No, yeah, it is different colored hair.
Potentially different colored hair because it's a painting and it's old, so it might even supposed to still be red.
Yeah, also depending on the graphic style, because one of them is a sprite and the other one is a what do you call it? A texture on a 3D model.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing, though, the joke is that when Saitan was saying, "Doesn't this painting look familiar?" What he meant was,
did you draw this?
These brushstrokes look like your style, Faye. You're a painter.
Mm-hmm.
When Faye said the painting looks familiar, he was like, "That's a painting of fucking Ellie." And apparently Saitan didn't notice that. Saitan is just missing the forest for the trees, literally. He was missing the painting for the brushstrokes.
Like, Faye's like, "That's the girl I met in the forest, don't you think so?" And goes, "Huh, now that you mention it, she does kind of resemble Ellie," as if it's not just a literal picture of Ellie.
Yeah, so it's Ellie, but dressed in, like, nun garb and shit, and looking all serene and whatever.
Saitan describes the picture in a way that he could describe my life. He says, "She is smiling, but in a way it gives the impression that she's anxious."
Yeah.
Same.
Big
That's
mood.
how all my students feel when I tutor them. Yeah, and then he's like, "I wonder if the painter, who for some reason paints just like Faye, was revealing his own emotions through the brushstrokes." I'm like, yeah, that's called how art works.
Yeah.
Anyway, they just contemplate the painting for a little bit, and then I think everyone leaves at some point, but whatever. Yeah. Point is, Faye
gets a flashback of him painting the picture.
Literally has a flashback of him in this room, and he's in front of the painting, and he's painting it, and at the other end of the room is sitting person who's basically just Ellie. And she's like just letting him paint her, and then at some point she says a line of dialogue, but she doesn't call him Faye, she calls him Lacan, which is just the most on the nose reference in the history of on the nose references. Actually, damn it, I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler. She actually just says like Lacan ...
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily know that that's his name.
Yeah,
but it's heavily implied, so it's not that much of a spoiler.
You're just like, why'd she say the word Lacan for no reason?
They're alone in a room. She says a thing that looks like a name. We figured it was Faye's name.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So she calls him Lacan. So that's interesting. And also the thing is though, Faye's remembering doing this, right? And Faye has amnesia, so he has a past he doesn't remember. But they're like, yeah, this painting's like hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
So who knows what's up with that? I'm sure y'all probably have an idea already. Actually, I have a couple. I wanted to play a little quiz game at the end of last episode, but I forgot. So remind me at the end of this episode. Okay. I have a funny little quiz I want to ask y'all.
Okay.
Anyway, so back in town, Bart calls Sigurd the fuck out. He's like, "Sigurd, why do you and Saitan always know about Gebler shit? What is up with that? Y'all are really bad at keeping secrets." And Sigurd's just like, "Okay, fine. I'll explain literally everything."
So, I was expecting this scene to happen, when you get to, the Disc 3 bullshit.
20 hours from now?
Yeah, 20 hours from now.
I did not expect it to be this soon in the game.
Yeah, this is where...
Me either, I played it.
Where, in Chrono Trigger, you suddenly go to, the sky place, and you're like, how was this back in the day? What is even going on? That sort of Disc 3 bullshit. That's when I was expecting this plotline to come to a head, not barely end of Disc 1 type thing. So I have no idea where this game is going to go from here, which is really exhilarating.
It's interesting because if I were to explain the plot of this game, I'd be like, first you spend a dozen hours doing a bunch of shit with this desert country and their political conflicts. But then it ends up not mattering, because after you resolve that, now there's on to the actual plot of the game, which involves a fucking sky kingdom and stuff. But I actually remembered it being much more separate. I didn't remember finding out about all the Slayer stuff until, first you do all the Ave shit, and then you do all the Solaris shit. But no, they're just at this point, we already know, what the real deal is.
Mm-hmm.
And they even say in just a little bit, Solaris is obviously the real problem here, but we really should deal with Ave first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Sigurd explains. Sigurd and Saitan are both from Solaris. Turns out they use lambs, service dwellers, lambs, as slaves. So they're always just harvesting service dwellers and using them as slave labor. and they do brainwashing.
Yeah.
So they won't just use them as slave labor; they'll also use them even as soldiers by brainwashing them to be indoctrinated into being soldiers for Solaris. So that's what Sigurd is. Sigurd was kidnapped as a child, and they tried to brainwash him to be a slave soldier, but I guess it didn't totally work. Citan actually is a Solarian, but he's a lower class Solarian. Ramses are probably... Huh?
So I know it's Solarian because Solaris, that's like the only way you could pronounce that. But I kept saying Solarian because I play Mass Effect. And so I think you're going to get up there and there's just going to be a whole lot of like more than Soluses running around.
That'd be awesome. I love the Solarians.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ramses is also a lower class Solarian. They don't explain what his goal is here. They just say that he has a very, very passionate goal that he's trying to accomplish. That is not just, be a Solarian general. Like, he has some personal goal that he's set on that I don't know if Citan and Sigurd know. I think they do know. They just didn't get around to explaining it in this plot dump.
Because shortly after you get the ability to ask 4 questions, Bart's just like, oh, well, fuck this, and leaves.
Yep. So anyway, but Ramses, despite being a lower-class citizen, rose through the ranks very, very quickly. And Bart is like, how did he get y'all to... How did he, force y'all to fight for him? And Sigurd's like, actually, me and Citan agreed with him ideologically and allied ourselves with him intentionally. He may have been some kind of populist who wanted to change things to be better for the lower class Solarians, but not the actual slaves, which it's a lot like in America. It's like, oh, we're gonna have maybe we'll make things better for some people in America, but we're not gonna stop imperializing the rest of the country to fund our country's wealth.
I mean, it all sounds like we're building up to the plot of BioShock Infinite.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, basically. But this part's funny. You're like, so why'd y'all leave? And they're like, well, when we learned the whole truth, we left. And the whole truth is just that Solaris uses lambs for fucked up experiments. But it's like, wait, so slavery is fine.
Yeah.
But experimenting on your slaves is wrong.
That's too far.
That's too much, man. I think it's probably more visceral than that. It's like once they saw firsthand the fucked up experiments, they were just so affected by it. They're like, oh wait, this whole system's fucked up.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like they were like we were fine with slaves until they were guinea pigs. It was just like it's like when you when you're growing up, you don't realize Miss Susie, so and so is like a janitor or whatever. You're just like, oh, she's just the lady that is there every day type thing. And so he's just like, oh, these are just our servants, yada yada yada. Oh wait, no, we brainwashed them and stole them from their families. Okay, we're aliens. That's a much bigger deal type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So they're developing all these drugs, including Drive. And Drive is a fucked up drug that makes you really, really strong, but it also makes you get super aggressive and kind of go crazy. So it's basically bath salts. And Ellie
and Faye is like, oh wow, I'm glad I don't know anybody that uses that. And Bart's just like, there was some in Ellie's room, and Faye's just like, shit.
she's a driver and a blade.
I hope they don't know anyone from Florida in that group because someone's face is going to get eaten off eventually.
Yep, absolutely. I forgot to mention, this doesn't matter, I guess, but the song playing earlier, the beautiful choir song that repeats later, is called, if you ever want to have a fun time, look up the Xenogears soundtrack, but don't just look up the soundtrack, look at the track titles.
Because they're all dumb.
They're all, insanely over-the-top dramatic, Sufjan Stevens-ass song titles. Anyway, this choir song is called The Wounded Shall Advance Unto the Light, or something like that, and I'm like, geez. Yeah, no, they're really, really, really good track titles. They're all 5 or 6 words long and have this weird poetic language. My boy Mitsuda had a good time. Anyway, so Bart leaves, and then he's a little salty at Sigurd, and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me this?" And Bart's like, or Sigurd basically says that Solaris is like unimaginably strong. Like, can't beat them. They're so strong. They're so powerful. There's really nothing you can do.
If we could have beat them even if we had a god gear.
Yeah. So Sigurd was even like the first thing. So Sigurd was just like, first I wanted to focus on freeing Ignis, from the control of the Imperial occupying forces, and only then could we really expand the power and take on Solaris proper. And Saitan's like, yeah, I agree. I think the first thing to do is just to defeat Shah Khan, who, if y'all recall, is the Imperial, is the usurper. He's the
tiger from the Jungle Book.
Yes,
Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan, and reclaim Bart's throne. And Bart's like, I guess that makes sense. Oh, and also, what is it? Did I ever explain this? Well, obviously, anyway, they I never explained this. So once they realized everything was fucked up, they didn't like get exiled or something. They just left, right? They left to go to Earth specifically to oppose Solaris.
Yeah.
Apparently,
so my bet in episode 1 was actually right. He is one of the evil guys, but he's a super secret double crosser, good guy, evil guy. So I was actually right. Which is crazy because I was just trying to be like out there, and then I was right, and I was like, all right, this game's just gonna take us on a ride.
Yeah, so what happens in this game is it's not that it tricks you with twists, it's that it tricks you by the twist happening earlier than you thought it would, and then it moves on to something else that you weren't expecting at all.
Yeah.
It's the developments that are unexpected, not the twists. Because now that the twist has been revealed, you're like, well, what the fuck is going to happen next?
Yeah, there's a thing like in writing where because a lot of times you like say you have a road trip movie and you're like, okay, we're going to go to Las Vegas. Usually you show up in Las Vegas at the climax of the movie, but there's a push. It's like, why don't you just give your characters what they want and like start in Las Vegas or whatever and just like get there right away. And that's definitely what they did here. They were just like, okay, we're going to take back the throne. That's not going to be a big climactic part of the game. That's just going to happen right now. Like literally you talk about reclaiming the throne and they're like, we can leave tomorrow.
Yeah. And that way you don't feel like it's just spinning its wheels with filler. Like, oh, but before we reclaim the throne, we must complete these side quests 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice.
And like this game,
a lot of modern AAA games do that. It's like, what the end plot is right at the beginning, and then everything in the middle is kind of just filler.
And like they had the ability to do that here. They were just like, oh well, we got to get the Fatima Jasper. That's a big bunch of things we have to collect, but no, that's not important. We're just gonna go and punch them until we win.
Yep, fuck it. One important thing is that I don't know how important it is, but I thought the game made it seem like it was important. Sigurd left a lot earlier than Saitan did. Like Sigurd left, they were both in it together, but Sigurd left, and then apparently a significant amount of time, maybe many years later, even Saitan also came down to the surface. Turns out that Solaris kind of exists in another dimension, maybe kind of,
because
it's in the sky. But it's also got sort of like a dimensional rift, so you can't just like fly to it.
Yeah,
you have to fly through like a dimensional gate.
Yeah,
you have to use special vehicles like airships.
Yeah. I wonder if we're gonna get one of those. Yeah.
What, a JRPG with a world map and we get an airship? What do you mean? I've never heard of
that. I bet we'll get that in the third act. That way we can go to Solaris.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they start having a little bit of reminiscence, and they're just talking about like the past and when Bart was a child and stuff. And I don't remember what the context for this was. I just wrote this note, but apparently when he was a child, Bart stole a toy boat. I don't know. Oh yeah, he's basically like, yeah, when I was a kid, I stole a toy boat and I put a bunch of fireworks on it and I put it on the lake and I acted like I was a naval captain.
Yeah.
Which is just really cute.
It's super cute.
Yeah, so time to retake Ave. So they get together to plan it, and I thought they came up with a pretty smart plan. What do y'all think?
It actually seemed pretty thought out. too bad it doesn't work. But
like, yeah, it doesn't work. But like, it wasn't like a lot of movies where they're like, "Here's our smart plan." And I'm like, "Aren't y'all like military generals? Shouldn't you have something more obvious and something the person watching the movie, could have thought of?"
Yeah, usually it's like
yeah,
we'll send in a small elite team, aka the JRPG party, and they'll go in and they'll infiltrate the gala, and then they'll go and they'll fight the bad guy one-on-one. Well, yeah, but he has guns, and that won't stop a war. But here, they're just like, the war is on 3 fronts, so we're going to do a fake out on the less guarded front so that it pulls troops from the other fronts so that we can get into the castle and take it back. And I'm like,
do y'all know the trope? Do y'all know the trope about whether or not you explain the plan in a movie?
No.
It's one of my favorite tropes, and it's so accurate. Anytime you have a movie or anything else, a TV show or anything, think about especially think like a heist movie. If they very explicitly explain the plan to you, to each other, and to the viewer, and you get to see the scene where they have the table and they show the plan, that means you know the plan's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's how you build dramatic tension. You know what's supposed to happen, and then when that doesn't happen, that's stressful. But if they don't show you the plan, if it's like Scooby-Doo style where they're like, "Here's the plan, gang," and then they just go like make whisper noises at each other.
I was just gonna say
the viewer doesn't know it. If they do that, then the plan does work.
I was just gonna say that's the Scooby-Doo formula.
Yeah. Because if they don't tell the viewer the plan, then the surprise for you, the viewer, is seeing what the plan was and that it worked. But if you know what and this follows that to a T. And it follows it tonally as well. Because when you
my favorite, Margie, before we go on, my favorite version of that is the third version, which is the A-Team's version, where they're like, "All right, here's the plan," and then it starts doing the scene, and so you get little bits of like, what is the plan, what isn't the plan, because it'll like play a scene, and you're like, oh no, everything goes wrong, and then Face will be like, and then at that point he'll reveal that he blah 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 blah, and you're like, oh, that was all part of the plan the whole time, and it's great.
Oh yeah,
if you haven't seen the remake of the A-Team, it's one of my like favorite dumb action movies of recent years.
It's so weird how good that movie is. Everyone thought it sucked, but hello, it's got a part where a tank parachutes.
Yeah,
it's got a parachuting tank. And then they realize that their parachuting isn't going to land in the right spot, so they shoot the tank's gun in order to move the tank. It's the best shit.
It's so good.
Yeah, I finally, someone else who has even seen that movie. Well, anyway, what was I going to say?
We make the plan.
This plan follows that trope to a T even more, because in the previous chapter, they're like, they keep talking about how tonally how hard it's going to be to save Margie, how it's going to be a really big deal. It's going to be really hard to save Margie, but then they succeed. In this plan, they kind of all seem like it's not going to be that hard.
Yeah,
they're like, this is
the best plan. Nothing could foil this plan.
Why are y'all being so optimistic? It's clearly not going to work. So here's the plan. Yeah, so Ave or Gebler. Basically, here's the issue. They're strong enough to kick Ave's ass. The problem is that Gebler is really strong, so they need to avoid fighting Gebler and just fight Ave. So Gebler has 3 main forces. They've got a huge army at the capital. They've got a pretty big army near the border with Kislev, and then they've got, which is over to the east, and then they've got a much smaller, basically just like a patrol team, near the border with Nisan. So what they need to do is draw the main army away from the capital. So they're like, yeah, we have a bunch of Kislev gears. So let's dress up as Kislev soldiers with Kislev gears and attack the nearby strike team and make them think that Kislev is invading. And also, we'll make them think that Nisan has allied with Kislev. And someone's like, isn't that basically using Nisan as bait by making it look like they're bad? And they're like, yeah, it is.
It definitely is.
But so they're like, and that'll draw the main force. But then someone's like, okay, but what if instead of the main force coming, the force over by the Kislev border comes instead? Either A, they both come and we get wrecked, or just the Kislev border unit comes, and then the whole point of getting them out of Bledavik doesn't work. And they're like, oh shit, that's a good point. So they also send Faye and a small strike team to the Kislev border to. They're not supposed to defeat all of them. They're just supposed to like fuck them up so they can't leave. So they can't go back to Bledavik, or they can't go to Nisan. Just like do some guerrilla style combat to impede their progress, which is what ends up happening. But yeah, and they're like, wait, but doesn't what's his ass Valkrog
Falcon?
What's that guy? Sardaukar.
Vanderkaum.
Vanderkaum.
Vanderbilt, yeah. I keep thinking Sardaukar because it's this from Dune. They're like, isn't he in control of those forces? And they're like, yeah, but he's a fucking idiot. He's got this insanely huge fucking battleship with a huge fucking cannon, but that cannon's slow, and y'all have gears, and he won't even be able to hit you.
So just run around it.
And they're all like, but wouldn't he just not do that because that's stupid? And they're like, no, he will because he's stupid. Yeah. So they do the plan. And meanwhile, Bart and the others will sneak into Bledavik and only have to fight Ave. So there's a scene with Bart and Margie, and it's fantastic. Margie is like, well, Bart, I guess this is the last time I'll be able to call you Bart. The next time I'll have to call you Your Highness. And Bart's like, shut the fuck up, Margie. Like, call me Bart. Like, he's super annoyed by this.
And he's like, you shut the fuck up, holy mother of Nisan.
Yeah.
It's so good.
They're the fucking cutest. One thing about this game is that because of the way the art is and the way that the character models only have two sizes, small and big, you don't know. I don't know what like age Margie is, or Bart for that matter.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I'd say Bart's like 17 or 18, and Margie's like 15.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's actually a big age difference, but it seems like she's like a child and he's not.
Because she has the smaller sprite.
She has the smaller, yeah. She hasn't evolved into having the bigger character model yet.
Yeah.
After she leaves, some nuns say stuff like, "Oh, it's kind of always been tradition that the prince of Ave marries the Holy Mother of Nisan," and Margie's just like, "Stop it, we're just friends."
Also, they're cousins, so that's a thing.
Oh yeah, but that's
it's monarchy. Everybody's cousins.
Yeah, with monarchy, that's totally just how it is. They're gonna have Hecka anemia.
In this scene with Agnes and Margie, where she's being incredibly heteronormative or whatever, I did something which the way it played out in real life I thought was hilarious. So typically I'll like have something up on screen like the anxiety one from earlier that's like mostly a meme where I'm just like, oh, Summer, look, they're talking about me on the screen, and she'll go up and read it. And so we get to this part and I'm like, oh, Summer, look, they're talking about us on screen, and you can see her eyes like pre-rolling to like look up at it, and then Agnes says, "Marriage is the best friendship," and Summer's like annoyed, "What meme are you showing me now?" Face melts into a like, "You fucking cheesy asshole." It was great.
This part made me sad. I was like, marriage is a lie, actually. No, I'm just kidding. I'm still a hopeless romantic, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's yeah. Anyway, oh yeah, and then there's a really cool scene where
they like shoot phase gear out of a cannon on the front of the ship, which I thought was super fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the hangar
just
opening and him flying out, but it looks like a giant laser cannon of gear shooting.
That's actually a common trope with mecha thing. It's like it's basically like you're launched out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they launch the gears almost like a fucking railgun at super high speed to go on their mission. Yeah. But it's a little funny because you haven't seen them do that until this point. So you cut to Saitan, which Saitan's only purpose here is to walk to the cutscene with Bart and Sigurd, which is funny. So Bart and Sigurd are talking, and he's like, "Hey Sigurd, so once we stop Shaka Khan, like, it doesn't really matter who's king, right? There just has to be a king." and Sigurd knows where the fuck this conversation's going. He's like, "Bart, I'm not retaking Ave because I give a shit about the dynasty. I don't care about kings or whatever, or the throne, but it's just that this is your home. And like you and Margie and all the rest of us, this is our home, not Shaka Khan's. That's why we're retaking it." He also totally sidesteps the question.
Yeah. Another thing he says at the very beginning of it that I screenshot because I thought it was hilarious. He goes, "Tomorrow is our first return to your castle in 12 years. And it's like, no, it's not. I was there yesterday when I saved Margie.
Yeah. But when you rescued Margie. I guess they mean more like a symbolic return, like a triumphal entry into fucking Jerusalem. But yeah, it's a little funny. It's like, what?
Yeah, and then Sigurd says Bart needs a bath before he can become king, which I thought was great.
which is extremely good. Oh, before this, I was thinking nothing really happened with Faye besides just going out the launch Faye, but there is one scene. Faye is meeting with his little team, and it's just a bunch of generic NPCs, and they're like, "Let's go!" And
we're all literally wearing red and don't have talking heads, so you can guess what happens at the end of Faye's thing.
But one of them is like, "Faye, you're a great soldier," and he's like, I don't know, he says something like, he's like, "Hey, we saw you fighting back there in the previous engagement. That was great work, son." And Faye goes, "Don't call me son, because you sure ain't my pops." Although now I'm imagining you should have been like, "You sure ain't my pops. I mean my dad. I mean my father. I mean my father." It's good shit.
One thing that I forget that I did this, because you don't get to name a lot of things in this game. Like, we got to name Choo Choo, and you get to name your gear if you want to, and I forgot that I changed the name.
Wait, you can?
My yeah. I forgot that I changed the name of it to Exodia. And so Faye says, "I guess I'm going to raise some hell in my Exodia then." And I'm just like, "You fucking nerd." You can see Faye just has the arm guard dual master thing. I can just see him like, "I'm going to raise some hell with my Exodia."
Perfect.
God.
It's such a surprisingly good name, because I just randomly picked it, but it's been pretty good for funny.
Better than Weltall.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is at night. The scene's at night. So then there's a close up of the moon, and then a really cute transition where it zooms into the moon, and then it zooms out from the moon, and it's now a different scene.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now in the room of Ramses and Miang, who are fucking.
They're totally have pixel naked bodies.
Yeah, they have naked sprites. It's awesome. I remember when I was
Ramses
a child,
is a little hot.
Ramses is really hot.
Yeah, he shouldn't be, but
he's
fucking ripped.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I thought this scene was I was like, "Oh God, what if my parents walk in now? There's naked pixels on the screen. This is inappropriate." But yeah, they're both in bed, and I'm like, this feels like an HR issue.
Yeah,
they're in bed, and there is Ramses is having a bad dream. It's the same thing we saw earlier. Knuckles the Echidna is killing everybody.
I thought that was Blanca from Street Fighter.
Blanca from Street Fighter is killing everybody. But then the scene continues, and not only does he do a bunch of punches on a bunch of gears, but then he himself gets into a gear, and it's a super scary looking red gear, and he kills everyone even more than he was killing everyone earlier. And Ramses is there, and he's got a bunch of soldiers, and they're like, "Shit, what do we do?" But then Graf shows up, and he's there too, and Graf is just like, "Excellent, something complete." I guess technically that's a Family Guy.
That's all right. No, it's okay. I'm fine with some of them.
Blue Harvest is good. Don't at me. It's some of the best. I mean, in a culture that has had literally decades of ham-fisted, awful Star Wars parodies, Blue Harvest has some actual original jokes in it that are good. So definitely better than fucking Spaceballs.
Yeah. Yeah. My hot take is that Spaceballs isn't good. You just were young when you watched it.
That's exactly true.
I still like it.
It has one good joke in it. It's got maybe 5. Maybe I could definitely count the number of good scenes on one hand, and the rest of the movie is complete garbage. It's absolutely the worst thing that
Mel Brooks is.
I've seen analyses of why Spaceballs isn't good, and you know what? I agree with them. At the same time, I still like it.
Yeah.
So,
alrighty, fair.
I'm the same way with Kung Pao. I remember Kung Pao being the epitome of all comedy movies, and I rewatched it recently, and I'm like, this was so bad. None of this was fun. No wonder.
I've never revisited Kung Pao. I don't know if that's actually bad or not. Anyway,
it's bad.
So at any rate, so the masked dude's there, and Ramses is just like, "This sucks. I hate it when Knuckles the Echidna kills me." So Ramses wakes up, and he gets out of bed, and he's really hot, although he's wearing he's wearing some tidy whities. And he walks to the bathroom, and then Miang wakes up, and she raises herself in bed. She's facing away from the camera, but you get to see her like her back, like her bare back,
her
kind
anime
of curved,
back.
and it's very attractive, very attractive shoulders and spinal cord. Anyway, but then all of a sudden there's like a flash of lightning, and Graf just fucking shows up, and Miang's like, "You peeper." and she's like, but she's just talking to Graf like it's no big deal. She's like, "Hey Graf, that dude you're looking for, I saw him at the tournament."
Not even covering her titties, just facing away.
She's just like, "What's up?" And then Graf is like, "Oh, you used your position to get set up with Ramses for your own dastardly purposes." And she's like, "Yeah, I did." And then Graf is like, "You better not fuck me over." And she's like, No, it's cool. Like, you have your own goals. I have my own goals. I'm not going to get in the way of your goals. We're chill. And he's like, okay, cool. So everyone's just got all sorts of goals here that we don't know what they are yet.
Hashtag
one thing that happened to me in this scene is the same thing that happens to me at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1, where a person shows up in the shadows and steps out of the shadows and reveals themselves, and I don't see it, and I have no idea what's going on in this scene and who the fuck they're talking to. Like, I thought she was talking to Ramses off screen for like a while until I finally saw a Graf in the corner. In Kingdom Hearts 1, in Kingdom Hearts 1, Ansem is like, steps out wearing brown, not even dark, like impossible to miss, steps out and talks to Sora, and the first like 4 times I played the game, I thought it was a disembodied voice the entire time.
I had that problem too, but only for a second. Like, the first couple lines of dialogue, I didn't see Graf, and then I was like, oh wait, no, there he is.
Yeah.
He is just kind of a unintelligible jumble of pixels with a fucked up face, so you know.
Yeah. But that apparently looks just like Faye, as Miang says. She goes, I could tell right away he resembles you greatly, which means this is another person that's probably my dad.
Oh, I missed that. Well, maybe she meant, like, resembles him, like, is good at fights or something.
Maybe.
That Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mother? This is Are You My Father?
My father.
You mean my dad?
Yeah.
You mean my parental figure?
You mean the person who contributed half of my DNA and then also raised me, or contributed in raising me, depending on what, you know. There's different ways to be a father. Anyway, so we're back to the Yggdrasil. My favorite character in the entire video game, Dolphin Man.
Yay, Franz.
Detects a weird sound. He's like, oh, I picked up a weird sound. It's a really big sound. We're like, what is it?
He's actually going the whole time. And they're just like, what is it, boy? There's trouble? Trouble down at the old well?
One thing that
detected a big sound under the sand?
One thing I thought was cool about him detecting the sounds is there's another sound engineer on the other ship we see in a second, which means, like, that's how they get radars. They're just listening to the vibrations in the sand, which is really cool, but I wish they would have wasted all of this exposition mumbo-jumbo on that and not, like, the dorsal fin is at 2,000 clicks or whatever the crap that we actually get. And I'm just like, oh, like...
Oh, Sam, that sentence didn't make any sense. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
But yeah. They just, like, listen very carefully to what's happening. So he's like, yeah, there's a really big sound. And they're like, what is it? And he checks again, and he's like, oh, it's not there anymore. I don't know. And they're like, oh, it's probably just, like, the fucking, like...
They say it's a sand whale.
Or sand whale. And well, first he's just like, oh, it's probably like the Gebler army. And he's like, no, it was under the sand. And they're like, oh, maybe it was a sand whale. And they're like, well, I guess whatever. Probably won't.
That's not an omen.
Later. So then it switches to another smash cut to Ellie. Ellie is now in command of her own squadron. It's those 4 dipshits from earlier in the game that you kick their asses very easily. They're all being sexist about how Ellie shouldn't be in charge of them because she is a woman and is also a child and also sucks.
Yeah. Oh,
and
there was one line I thought was amazing. She was like, oh, you better listen to me. I outrank you. And he goes, we don't care much for rank, and we don't care much for Rink either, which is the guy with the beard's name. And I'm like, that's good. Like,
nah, it's good stuff.
I love it.
And also, like, one of them said, so there's one character who's like a total bishy, and another character is like, hey, don't, you're just criticizing Ellie because you're jealous of how beautiful she is. And he goes, Why would I be jealous? I'm more beautiful than her.
Yeah.
It's good. But anyway, so she's all like calling them out, and they're calling each other out for being like sexist, and it's like, yeah, sexism is bad. And then the camera is like, here's your robot. It's pink because you're a girl.
Yeah.
Classic.
And, like, not only is it pink and it's a girl, it's a special move. It like is the classic like cower in fear and your skirts fly up like anime pose, and that's how she does her super move.
Shoots hearts out of it too when she attacks.
Yep.
It's the most.
We can't stress this enough. Ellie is a girl.
Maybe I like the idea that like someone has like. Remember, they excavated these gears, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, I like the idea that this is actually the most powerful gear they've excavated yet, and they give it to Ellie because she's the best one. And she's like, "Why does it shoot fucking hearts out of it?" And they're like, "I don't know. We didn't make it. Just drive the gear. It's the best one we have. Do you want a worse gear?"
Right.
Why did the ancients fucking make this thing? But yeah,
it was for a girl.
It's for a girl, yeah.
Because as we've seen, Ellie and Faye both are a bajillion years old, so this was probably actually Ellie's growing up.
Probably, yeah. So Faye has a little mountainous dungeon that Eli did not enjoy very much.
Yeah, here you go, Eli. You can have the floor. Walk us through this dungeon.
I'm going to be as gentle on this game as possible. Did you know that if the game is going to be putting you in a battle, you can't jump? It doesn't broadcast that you're being put into a battle right away. It just goes, hey, the jump button isn't working. Let's fall off a cliff. Then a battle starts. And I died. I couldn't get through all the mobs. I couldn't get up because I didn't catch on for a while that couldn't jump means getting into battle. So I should have initiated a battle and then gone and done a big jump, which I learned the next time I went through it. But I was incredibly frustrated by this, especially because I just had to watch about 30 more minutes of the same fucking cutscenes I'd already seen, and I don't have fast text. So yep. I basically, I just did shit on my phone while spamming the X button. And just, wished for the sweet embrace of death while doing it. It was very, very maddening. And the mobs there are stupid. They're you got your jellyfish, which you can kill in one hit each, or you've got your weird slug dragon called Edelweiss for some reason, and weird slug dragon takes 3 death blows to kill. What the fuck? And it does 300 damage. So
did you find the bone they throw, which was kind of cool, but a save point at the beginning of it would have been cooler.
Yeah.
There's a robot that will heal your gear all the way up to full if you guard. So at least there's that.
And when I finally got there, I was like, oh, fucking hallelujah. I better not die on these next fights. But at least I don't have to go back through another fucking half hour the same goddamn cutscenes.
Yep.
Are you talking about the NPC robot or the mob robot?
No. The NPC robot that repaired my shit.
There's a mob robot that also heals you. So you get in a fight and it's a robot, and instead of attacking you, he'll come up and heal your gear. So you just guard in that fight, and then until you get all of your fuel and HP back, and then you run.
I don't remember having seen that.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's great,
yeah,
but
it is pretty rare. I ran into him twice, maybe. So way back when we were first starting this game, when I said that one of my big tips was to save money just so that you can spend it all on gear shit. This is the part I was thinking.
Yeah, because Ellie's a motherfucker here in a second.
Because you can't leave. You're stuck in this dungeon. You have to just deal. Now, one thing I forgot is that actually your character level does affect your gear strength. So theoretically you're not stuck. Theoretically you could do a little bit of leveling up, use that one mob to heal yourself, if you really had to, but you don't want to, right? So yeah,
I did not want to stay there any longer than I needed to.
So hours ago, I was like, I want to make sure everyone can have the strongest possible gear for this dungeon because I don't want anybody to get stuck here. So yeah, that was secretly the reason.
I managed to not get stuck. I had to fight Ellie 4 times, but I was not actually stuck.
The hugest fucking bitch of a boss battle when I was a kid. This time I got her on my first try. I guess I was over leveled or something. And I did have, again, all of the best equipment. Well, I didn't buy any like accessories, but like I had the best frame, the best armor, the best engine or whatever. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't find it hard this time around. I guess I just got lucky.
Yeah. You also probably had the accessories that deal with the first 3 bosses, because that's how I had to look it up, and it's like, wear these accessories, then they won't kill you. So then you can go into Ellie's fight with
So I didn't look it up, but tell me, what were those accessories?
So there's it's called Beam Coat or something, but
I equipped that one.
It keeps you from getting dealt damage by the Wand Knights. And then there's one that's Armor Repairer, I think, that makes the Aegis Knights moves not hurt you and therefore not bring down your armor, so that you don't just get waylaid in that one. So that I had to get those 2, and then also I ended up not using boost for the first 2 fights just because they go down. Like didn't give me that much of an advantage because they go down into death blows no matter what, and so it's like, oh well, I can tank the damage easier than I can restore fuel in the fight with Ellie. And so I didn't use boost for the first 2 fights, used boost on Ellie, and finally got through it on the 3rd one. We skipped over the fact that you get to the top of the dungeon, and then of course the people you're fighting are Ellie, but like you could have told that from before.
Yeah. And, for me, again, I one-shotted it, thankfully, so I didn't get to strategize like in a smart way, but I did equip my shit beforehand as well as I could. And yeah, I saw that I had Beam Guard, and it specifically says cuts beam attack damage by 50%. And I'm like, well, if the boss uses a beam attack, this seems like a really fucking good item. So I definitely equipped that. And then I equipped just whatever my best armor up was. I had one that was like armor up +8 or some shit, which is really good. And then I had one that increased my response, which I forget what response does, but it increased it by a shit ton. So I was like, I don't know what response does, but I'd rather have response up 15 than armor up 4, right? So I think those were my 3 equipments. I every time I had a chance to buy accessories, and I could have bought one that's like protects against defense down, protects against agility down, protects against attack down. The thing is, for me, if you can't afford to buy all of them, you kind of don't want to buy any of them, because you don't. How do you know that whatever one you actually spend money on is going to be useful?
Yeah.
Like, you'd hate to spend
I'm about
money.
To waste $4,000 on this thing that will never come out.
Yeah, to put it in more general RPG terms, you'd hate to spend a lot of money on an accessory that protects you against sleep attacks, and then in the next dungeon, all the enemies have poison attacks. So I never bought any of those. Although maybe I'd found 1 or 2 of them on my own. But anyway, I didn't equip them. But turns out that setup I had, the beam attack especially, was what made me able to get through those battles. Which is nice. Yeah, so you get up there, and Ellie's there, and for me at least, the squadron she's with just gets wrecked immediately with 0 effort, essentially. And they're all just like, oh, we need more drive, I need more of the drive so I'll be stronger. And then Ellie is like, I can't fight Faye, even though I told him last time that if I saw him again I'd fight him. I can't fight him because of all these darn feminine emotions that I have. That's not my commentary. That's me criticizing the game. Yeah, in case that's not clear. And then she realizes she could take the drive. And then you finally get again, like, this game cannot give you foreshadowing without explaining the foreshadowing 5 hours later maximum.
Yeah.
That flashback earlier where she was fucked up in a hallway. Well, we don't have to wait any longer. We're gonna figure it out.
One thing that I think is cool is she's not like, let me think about it. She takes the drive, and then she's like stuck in this like worst nightmare of hers while she's fighting Faye, and like it happens to be the first time she tried drive and killed a lot of people. But it's just like I thought it was cool that it's like, oh, not like the reason you lose your personality and you kind of go crazy is you're kind of living the worst day of your life over and over again. Yeah. Drive is scary. Don't do drive, kids.
Exactly. Don't do drive, kids. So yeah, at any rate, yeah. So what happened was the very first time she ever used drive, she they forced her to do it, and I think they might have implied somewhere that it was relatively early on in the development of it. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We're gonna make you take the drive." And she's like, "I don't want to." And they're like, "Who do you think you are? Everyone has to take it." But because drive unlocks someone's latent abilities, it made her. Apparently, she has the highest latent abilities of anybody, so it had a really, really, really strong effect on her, and she just went completely nuts and killed everybody, and that's it. So she does this. So she does that here. She takes the drive because she's like,
a really cool part visually where you have Ellie in the front with like a spotlight on her, and then like in the background all fuzzy is like an office building type thing where people are just standing around discussing, and it like their text boxes don't go away as they're talking, so it just fills up the screen, so it's like all the voices are just like pounding in Ellie's head is kind of what it feels like. And it's just all of this stuff of them just talking about her like clinically, like, yeah, she just killed 15 people, but wasn't it cool? She killed 15 whole people. Usually people only kill one person. She's the best person killer ever.
Did you mention that this scene like repeats itself?
I didn't see it repeat itself.
If you let it go on long enough, it's basically a scene where she's just running down the hallway. And when she gets all the way to the end of the hallway
run is repeating itself.
And she runs down the hallway again. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's just repeating in her brain. It's good shit.
And it has a Dutch tilt that's like used artistically and not just because it's Thor. Sorry.
Yep. This game has a lot of nice Dutch tilts. And I think because of the game,
I had to throw some shade at Thor that has 2 level shots in the entire movie. Everything else is on a Dutch tilt.
No, totally true. One thing I like about this is that this game has a lot of Dutch tilts, but it's like because it's like this lo-fi PlayStation game, it works so much better than it does in like a movie, frankly.
Yeah.
It's just very strong because it's just so simple. It's like,
can you explain for me, someone who knows next to nothing about cinematography, what the hell a Dutch tilt is?
Spin the camera sideways.
Oh,
yeah. You just turn the camera sideways a little bit.
When the horizon is not flat, it's just slanty a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a super easy term. We're just there's a thing that film students do, and I try not to, but every now and then I do, where like they won't call a clothespin a clothespin. They have to call it a C-47 because that's what it's called on film sets, and they think it's so cute, and they're in the know. And I didn't mean to do that just now with the Dutch tilt, but that's what I did.
No worries.
When people use the term Dutch tilt, they're usually using it disparagingly, so it's not just, I think if you're going to use the term, it's because you don't like it, whereas if you did like it, you just be like, oh, nice shot.
Yeah.
Jabrams really likes them a lot, and I don't like it when he likes them. But at any rate, so she goes all crazy, and she gets a different character portrait where she looks evil.
She looks
and she's like
fucking scary.
And she's like, Faye, I will destroy you. And he's like, but Ellie, but we're friends. And she's like, not anymore. I'm fucked up on drugs.
This is what drugs do to you, kids. You hate your friends when you do them.
So you fight her, and you get this cool battle. It's usually if you're fighting a battle, and like every 2 turns, there's a little plot cutscene, that means that the whole battle is deterministic, or you're supposed to lose it. But this is simultaneously a battle where plot happens every 2 scenes, but also is a real battle.
It's
kind of cool.
And it's
like you
also
still have to win it.
A battle where after you beat Ellie, she beats you and you die in the next cutscene. So I'm like, couldn't I have just lost this battle? Why did this have to be so hard for me to then thematically lose it?
Yeah,
it was rough.
I love / hate that when games are like if you die in the battle, the game's over.
You die in the battle, you die for real.
But if you win the battle and then you get defeated anyway, for some reason, that's fine. I think of it in like, sorry, again, with the referencing things Eli doesn't know about, in Homestuck terms. It's just like, look, you gotta follow the canon timeline. Like, it's not that the characters died, it's that the player is being punished for not following the canon story. No, they have to die slightly later. Sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so then after Faye beats her, even though he's the one who goes down on one knee and is like, "Ooh," they both get out of their gears, and then they chat, and no, then there's a really dramatic part where her drive starts to wear off, so she like starts getting a headache and can't really fight, and Faye seizes the opportunity to like pin her robot down with his robot, and just hold her, and she's like shaking and shaking and shaking, and he's like, snap out of it, and she's like, no, must kill.
It looks like there's gonna be some hardcore robot fucking.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
There's a whole lot of it where she's like, no, stop, let me go, and he's like pinning her down to the ground, and I'm like, this is definitely not what I signed up for.
Someone needs to teach Faye about consent. But it's okay because he just wanted her to not be on drugs. So, and also they're robots. They're not cool people. They don't have genitalia. Actually, who knows? Maybe they have robot genitalia.
I've seen Rule 34 of Transformers. Life finds a way. Trust me.
Life finds a way. Exactly. So anyway, eventually, she calms down, and they look out of the robots, and they're just like, maybe, I said that you were crazy on drugs. But in reality, maybe I was the one who was crazy on drugs. No, they say that maybe we're the same, even though we're on opposite sides, we still don't want to fight. And Ellie was like, I care about my unit, even though they suck, and I wanted to protect them, that's why I did it. So
yeah, and Faye was like, this thing, I'm literally flying around and punching people inside of my trauma, but I do it because I want to protect people. So like, I totally understand you taking drugs to do this. You don't want to, but you do it. I don't want to be in this thing, but I do it. So we understand each other.
Yep. And then Faye says something like, yeah, maybe we should just be here for each other. And Ellie is like, are you saying we lick each other's wounds? And like, that's just a weird thing to say in this context.
And Faye goes, yeah.
Faye's like, yeah, sure. Faye's like, sounds hot. Faye's like, okay, I guess if you're into that. And that's kind of it. And then they just fly away because, I mean, like, you just beat them. So if they tried to fight again, you would just beat them again. So they fly away. And Faye continues up the mountain. And you're thinking, oh, God, is there going to be another fucking boss battle? But
no.
There's not.
There's a shiny place that I ran around spamming the X button trying to decide what it is, and you literally just walk against the wall, and it counts as the loading zone and takes you to the next place. But I stood there for a embarrassing like minute and a half, not knowing what I was supposed to do.
Before I walked into that loading zone, I got into a fight with one of those healing bots because I was like, if there's another boss fight, I'm gonna get fucked up. So I have like 300 health. So then I spent ages just spamming, doing something else on my phone like Eli did while hitting charge to get all the way healed up again. Because I was like, I can't deal with the boss battle, and also there's not a save point. Maybe there was, I don't remember. But then turns out that's it.
Yep, that's it.
After a shit ton of cutscenes, Faye does have another fight, but when you get in that fight, you're restored back to full health and fuel.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually matter. You cut to Mason, who's in the Yggdrasil, and he's just cleaning glasses at the bar like a bartender does all the time. They just sit there cleaning glasses. They don't. That's just what they do on their own. And he accidentally drops and breaks Bart's cup, and he's like, "Oh no, the young master's cup! It broke. Is this an omen?" And I'm like, "No shit.
No, it's a cup."
It's like that friggin' anime kid. He's looking at the butterfly, and he's like, "Is this an omen?" So then we switch to Bart, and Bart and them are in the same sewer as before, where they're beneath the palace, and they go up to the top of the palace, and they're like, all right, we're going to have this big plan. You're going to go this way. I'm going to go this way. We're going to go all the way to the top of the palace. We're going to kick Shaka Khan's ass, and then they literally go in the first door to the courtyard, and Shaka Khan's right there, and they're like, oh, fuck, that was easy. And there's a beautiful, beautiful camera shot that I took a screenshot of, where it's a long shot where they're very tiny, and Bart's on one end and Shaka Khan is on the other end, and Miang, I think. And it's just a great profile shot. And Bart's like, cool, time to kick your ass. But then what should happen? But turns out there were soldiers hiding everywhere.
Yeah.
Turns out we are the one who are the ass kicked. Ass kicked.
And then Miang is like, yo, y'all's plan was stupid. Did you really think we were going to fall for it? And Bart's like, yeah.
Kind of.
and kind of. And she's like, yeah, so Ramses, she's like, you know that all those Nisanians who are think they're going to win their battle, Ramses is about to go to Nisan with the entire army and kick everyone's ass. And then, and they're like, well, that's bad. And then all the bad guys are about to shoot Bart and them, but then, Mason shows up with that crab robot that just won't stop being in this game. And the crab robot shows up, and he points this giant fucking Gatling gun directly at Shaka Khan, and is like, if any of y'all do anything, I'll shoot this guy the heck. But then he's like, okay, everybody get in the robot. So Bart and like the rest of his unit, which is like 5 or 6 people, all climb in the robot, and then the triumphant music plays, and they're like, yeah, we're getting out of here. But then it's too heavy because there's too many fucking people. So the robot starts smoking, and then it crashes back down to the ground.
And the propeller flies off. And it's
the propeller flies off, and they're like,
well, shit.
And Shaka Khan's like, y'all are stupid.
So I just want to say that these 5 people must be hugely fat because this robot carried Weltall at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about
these
that.
5 people are heavier than a giant fucking robot.
Yep. Bart, man, you gotta lay off the carbs. So anyway, but then he's like, no, I got it. So then the crab does a bunch of cool little Zelda Tektite style crab jumps. And gets out of the courtyard, and they're like, we still got out of here, suckers. But it's not really suckers, because they're like, we just completely failed in our plan to retake the capital, so now we're just running away.
Yeah.
Right? So they go back to Yggdrasil. Then a lot of cutscenes happen that take a long time, but it's basically just Vanderkam gets his ass kicked for 30 minutes of game time.
Yeah, this is what I was alluding to earlier, where it's like, there's so much talk about bullshit that doesn't matter. And one of my favorite highlights from that is he's like, use our big ass gun. It's my pride and joy. And they're like, well, like Gears move faster than that. He was like, but my gun is fast too. And then it says Gears at battle speed can move at 2,000 per hour. Doesn't say what that unit is. Doesn't say anything about it. It's just at 2,000 per hour.
2,000 pounds per hour.
That reminds me of and I know I keep doing this, but a joke from my game Dinosaurs in Pakistan. There's a really funny...
Available on iOS.
Available on iOS. Don't buy it. It's got a bug. I swear to God, I'll fix it. Anyway, honestly, if you're listening to this and you're a fan of our podcast, I will give you a free copy of my game. I will Venmo you $1 and you can buy it if you tell all your friends about it. Anyway, what was I going to say? There's a part... We had a lot of fun with the world building. And there's a part early on where you have a bunch of questions you can ask for, like, like exposition dump, and you can say, what year is it? And the narrator says 600,000. But he doesn't say like AD or anything. He doesn't even say years. So it's just a recurring joke where anytime someone's talking about time, they don't put a unit. I don't know why we think that's so funny, but we just think it's really funny that we don't do that. So it's just instead of saying like 10 years ago, we're like 10 ago.
It's like the joke in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. What do you think the temperature is? 1.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically the same idea behind the humor, because the idea is that it's like this science fiction future world where everything's different, right? So they wouldn't say, maybe they have a different period of time. Maybe it's not even years. Who knows? And we just never bothered to specify because we thought it was funny. Yeah. So anyway, the Gears are running at 2,000. So there's this long scene. There's this really fun little, almost like shmup section.
Yeah, I really like this.
Where you play as Faye, and you're going towards Shaka Khan, and you're literally flying, and the bad guy robots are literally like flying around in patterns, like it's like a freaking 2D shooting game, and you have to avoid them. And if you don't avoid them, you just have an easy battle. But
yeah, I got to that point and was like, now I'm playing Galaga. What is going on?
Yeah, it's really cute. And also, like, there's these big cannons that are shooting out bullet patterns, And if those hit you, you actually just like lose health in real time. Like it's like, oh, you lost a little bit of health because you got damaged by the bullets.
Yeah.
And,
except it's 1 HP, and at this point in my gear had 3,000, so I was like, I'm not going to dodge the bullets.
So yeah, it's really cute. I think I managed to dodge them pretty well, even though I clearly could have just not, because it's not fucking hard. Yeah. But I only got, I always try my best. So I only got in like 2 battles.
Yeah, I think I got in two as well. The first one because I didn't realize what was going on, and then the second one he was like match stepping me. I'm like, it'll be easier to fight you instead of trying to catch you on some geometry.
So it's just this long series of there's a couple sections of gameplay here and a couple sections of cutscene, but all the cutscenes are basically Vandercom, don't just use the giant cannon. It's stupid. And Vandercom's like, I'm going to use the giant cannon, and that's it. And then, you end up getting...
And then there's a part where they're like, shit, we got hit. Everybody leave. And he's like, don't you leave. And then they leave. And he turns around and it's like, oh, well, shit.
Yep. So you finally get to the battleship. And there's one of my favorite kinds of boss battles in any RPG, which is where you're on a very large thing, usually a battleship, and you're just fighting part of it, like a cannon or something. I love when games do that. Even Mario RPG does that shit.
Yeah.
Have you played Mario RPG?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but
when you're fighting the Axum Rangers, they end up forming a giant thing. So yeah, it's like huge tank, and you're fighting against a single cannon on the tank. It's kind of funny. This is that same cannon, and when you fight it in combat, it just shoots you in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Did y'all have any trouble with this battle?
No. So you have 2 small cannons on the side that shoot you all the time. Then a big one that has the Shining Force 1 countdown, where like it gets to its turn and it just says 7, and then its turn is over. I don't know what happens at the end of it because 7 was enough time for me to do like 4 death blows.
It definitely shoots you in the face, and it only did like 400 damage. It was not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it does a lot of damage, but not like that much damage.
Yeah. It's like, oh wow, that would be really bad if it wouldn't take you 7 more turns to do it again. So, see ya.
See ya. Yeah, no, it was pretty easy. And again, this game isn't always good about this. See Eli's frustration earlier, but I do think at least at this point the game is doing that thing where it's like, yeah, you've had like 50 cutscenes since last time you saved. This battle's not going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully.
Yeah. So then after you kick Vandercom's ass, I'm skipping around a bit because it actually skips to some other scenes, and you see Bart for a while and stuff. But long story short,
yeah, I didn't get any of the other like cut.
It's nothing in particular.
Stuff.
It's just everyone. Oh, there's a part where it turns out their communications are down because when you first finish your mission with Ellie and stuff, your co-fighters are like, have you heard anything from Bart and them? And they're like, we haven't heard anything, but we also don't have really good communication. We don't have good service here. But I'm sure they're being successful. and then Bart is the other way around. It's like, we haven't heard anything from those guys. They must have bad reception. I sure hope they're okay. Just dramatic. It's good, but it's just, I don't remember what happens really.
Yeah. So
long story short though, Vandercom is like, I can't be destroyed. I still have that. Yes, I still have ... that. And they're like, what's ... that? And it turned out it's just another big boss mech.
Here. Yeah.
And TBH, I thought it was really hard.
Yeah. It was, I nearly died on it, and it still hadn't saved since the last one.
It took effort.
But, yeah.
It was the hardest boss in this section for me.
I think I ended it with like 300 health left and less than 100 fuel. And I was doing a thing. I'm like, all right, this Repu has to kill you or I'll die. And I press a triangle, and it's smart in a gear, not on foot. But if you're going to kill it with one thing, it doesn't let you waste the whole thing.
Too.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, all right. I'm like, I'm nervous because he's going to kill me this next turn if I don't do this. And I go to do a triangle square, and I press triangle, and he's like, 4 damage.
Yeah, it's funny. You might think that it's like anticlimactic, but it's actually the opposite. It's like, that's like the surprise of that attack killed him. It's almost better when instead of it being a flash of light like in Final Fantasy 6, it's just like, oh, the game's not letting me attack again because I just beat him. Yes.
Yeah. That happened with Ellie too, and because I was like, oh man, this is cutting it close, but this is the best I've ever done. And then I beat it. I was just like, fuck yeah! I didn't get to use my special move.
It's a weirdly cute, low key way to signal the end of a battle. That just happens organically. Anyway, yeah. So you beat him. Eli, did you beat him on your first try?
Are you there? Did I disconnect?
Hello?
I'm here.
I can hear you.
Oh, did you beat him on your first try?
Yeah, I beat him on my first try. I'm glad because I didn't want to do all that shit again.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Actually, it's a pretty cute battle because when you first start, you have two buddies, but they're just mooks, they're just red shirts, and they do 0 damage.
I felt so bad for them whenever he'd pick them up and then smack the other guy with the one he picked up. Like, it was hilarious, but I was like, oh, that's awful. That's gotta hurt so much.
Well, what's cool is that they do 0 damage, but also phase attacks are doing very low damage. So I'm like, oh, the guy just has hella defense. So I went really hard right at the beginning, and once you do enough damage, you like break its shield, and that makes its defense come back to normal, and now your red shirts can actually do damage.
Yeah.
And they can actually assist in the battle. And I thought that was neat.
Yeah, that was really cool.
They can't do death blows or anything, so they just do X every time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, you kick his ass again, right?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other shit happens, but then eventually he's like, "No, I've died." And then from off screen, a dramatic voice says, "Do you want the power?" And it's like,
the power of voodoo.
And then in flies Big O.
Yep, in flies Big O. In flies my boy Graph, Bar Graph.
Look at this Graph.
He's like, "Do you want the power?" And Vandercom's like, "Yes, I want the power. Give it me." And he's like, "Cool, have the power." So he makes Vandercom. Oh no, he gives him the power. Oh, I meant to screenshot this. The power of what?
The power of voodoo.
He says, "My fist is the divine breath," and punches him into Super Saiyan. Is what happens.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking my labyrinth bait.
I saw it and I willfully passed by it.
you will allow it. Labyrinth references is the mind killer. You will allow it to pass over you and through you.
Yeah.
So anyway, he gets all strunk, and the two buddies with Faye are like, "Dude, Faye, you got to go help Bart because we just got a distress call. The Yggdrasil's getting their ass completely wrecked. You got to go save them. We'll fight Vandercom again." And Faye's like, "But my friends," and they're like, "No, we'll do it, man." And then there's this cutscene where Vandercom is just kicking the shit out of the red shirts, and it's these dramatic like freeze frames showing them being wrecked. And Faye's like, "Oh no, oh no, oh no!" And then the screen goes white, and presumably Faye like fucking blew up again.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
He did the Lahan.
Yeah, he did the Lahan thing. We don't know that. The screen just fades to white and then it cuts to another scene, but like that's the implication, right?
Yeah, especially with this next scene.
Yeah, it's not subtle. Although when I was a kid, I didn't pick up on the obviousness of what's happening here. I was 13. So Ramses, this is the part where Sam was talking about where it's just like reams upon reams of pages of explaining how fucking sandship combat works.
Yeah.
They're like firing the missiles, and then they're like sending out distractor missiles, to get hit by the homing missiles, and then they get hit. But if you get hit underwater, you drown. But like if you get hit under the sand, you wouldn't drown. You would just be stuck underwater and you'd be buried alive. So when they get hit, they decide to surface. Otherwise, they would be buried alive. But now that they're surfaced, it's like, haha, now they're on the surface. We can attack them even more. And I don't know, they're all just talking mumbo jumbo at each other. It's fun.
So it is very similar to a scene that I love in Star Ocean 5. And I don't exactly have words for why I liked it in Star Ocean 5 and not here. And I think it's just because here they had to do so much exposition on like, why is this different than regular ships? And that just took the air out of its sails. But in Star Ocean 5, you just watch like a 30-minute episode of Star Trek in the middle of your JRPG and it owns. And that's kind of what this was going for. It just didn't land for me. And I just wanted, like, I spammed through a lot of it. Like if it didn't have Ramses' talking head, I figured it wasn't important. And so I just skipped.
I actually super duper ooper liked it, but here's the reason why I liked it so much. It was because it would have all this dramatic, like earlier in the game, it was all just like dramatic music all the time and all the drama of what's happening. But here, it had a lot of scenes where there wasn't music, and dramatically, I feel like it was like dragging on this. Like at this point, you know the main characters are gonna get fucking wrecked. You know this is a Star Wars Episode 5 situation. So the fact that it like drags on and is like technical, it's just like I think it's cool. It's like you just get to see this disaster happening in kind of excruciating detail. While you, again, knowing that it's definitely going to happen and the characters are definitely not going to make it out of this very, very well. And I thought that the way it was directed and especially the sound effects were really cool, but it also takes forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, you get your ass kicked. They shoot out escape pods. Notably, Saitan leaves in an escape pod. And the rest of them like get out of the ship and they're on the surface or whatever. And just as everything's about to go to shit, who should appear but yet another character?
Yeah.
It is as if this game did not have enough mysterious characters that may or may not be villains. That red gear from the flashback that was murdering everybody because a predator was inside of it shows up. It's got my favorite music in the entire game. It's a brilliant piece of music. You'll hear it a lot. I think you get to do a whole dungeon with this music at one point. It's nice.
Ooh.
It's just like ambient sounds plus a bass line. It's great.
That's dope.
It's very Uematsu. Ramses is like, fuck, it's this guy. I know who this is. He calls him the Demon of Elru. So
definitely words.
I don't know what that is.
Those are words.
Miang is like, so he's like, shit, and Miang's like, yeah, okay, nice. Like Miang knows what's up.
Yeah.
Ramses and Miang show up in their gears.
And Ramses flies Goldar from Power Rangers, and you can tell that Miang is very serious business by the size of her shoulder pads.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what their gears look like.
She has single female lawyer shoulder pads.
Yeah.
They have really fucking cool looking robots, basically. But the red gear just wrecks them instantly. It rips Ramses's arm off, I think.
Like, not just like JRPG, like explosions happen around you and your HP goes down. He like rips off a wing, then rips off an arm, then rips off the head, and Ramses is like, I can still fight. And Miang's like, we should get out of here. Like, your gear is in pieces.
Yeah, he like pile drives him into the fucking dirt. Again, very elaborate animations and 3D shit. It's great, and it's good to see Ramses get his ass whooped. So, all is almost lost. But what happens is the red gear doesn't just fucking kill Ramses because he basically gets distracted by Bart.
Yeah.
Because he basically what I'm intuiting here is he's one of those guys kind of like Graf who only cares about who's the most powerful. So he sees that Bart is strong and he's like, Bart, you're strong. We should fight because you're strong. And Ramses and Miang are like, let's get out of here while he's distracted by Bart. And then you have... Is this an actual fight or just a cutscene when he fights Bart?
No, it is an actual fight.
It's a fight, but it's one that you lose.
Right.
Yeah.
They're very nice to you here. They don't do the thing where the fight's pretty hard, but you're not sure if you're supposed to lose or not. No.
He does 20,000 damage on his first fucking turn.
The thing is, you know how in a lot of games there's damage caps? Well, he punches you, and he does 9999 damage. But then he punches you again. And in this game, if you attack multiple times in a turn, it shows the total damage. So he does 9999, and then he does 9999 again, which adds up to 19998.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm like, honestly, I'm really glad, because I'm glad that they did not try to trick me as to whether or not I was supposed to lose this fight.
Yeah. They didn't pull the Rogue Galaxy on you, where you only have to survive 10% of its HP bar or anything.
Meanwhile, everyone's watching out of the Yggdrasil, and they see this happen, and they're like, "Oh shit! he just did 20,000 damage." And someone's like, "What the heck is 20,000? 20,000 what?" And Sigurd's like, damage
20,000 per hour.
Yeah,
20,000.
That's what that meant.
600,000. Or maybe in this world the numbers actually pop out of the gears and they can see them. Anyway, Sigurd's like, we gotta go use the Yggdrasil. We gotta drive over there and save Bart. And they're like, but all of our engines are broken. we can barely make battle speed 3 or whatever. And he's like, no, if we do some bullshit that the writers just made up.
No, they didn't make it up. They wanted to make sure that you the player knew that this was scientifically sound. They call out the
Bernoulli effect.
Yeah, the Bernoulli effect of since we're not going to be in the sand, the Bernoulli effect will make our sand rudders into wings, and therefore we'll fly and land on this motherfucker.
Yeah, that's...
See, guys, we paid attention to a little bit of high school physics.
Okay, I will say, when I played this last night, I forgot what the Bernoulli effect was. Like, I know who Bernoulli is, but I couldn't remember if that was made up or not. But now I'm like, oh, wait, I know what the fucking Bernoulli effect is. I learned about that in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Now that we've talked about the Bernoulli effect, let's bring up the Fibonacci sequence for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they decided to do a Fibonacci Euler jump onto the bad guy. So they literally drive the ship real fast, fly into the air, and hit the red robot with an airship.
Yeah. It's like
It's
like in one of my other favorite stupid action movies, Live Free or Die Hard. He has this cop car, and he jams the gas pedal down, and it jumps off this ramp and hits this helicopter and explode it. And Justin Long is like, you just blew up a helicopter with a car, and John McClane is like, I was all out of bullets. And that's what happened here. Like, you just threw an airship at this robot. I was all out of bullets.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty badass. And there's like a little moment of peace where they're just like,
we did it.
Okay, cool. We defeated the robot by shooting an entire ship at him. And they're like, yeah, the Yggdrasil is never going to function again. That was not a smart move. It's going to cost a lot of money, but whatever, we did it. But then, as you expect,
dun,
because this is an anime, the Yggdrasil starts shaking and vibrating, and they're like, what the hell is going on? I thought the engine was broken. And then who should appear but the robot, the red gear, who lifts the entire Yggdrasil into the air. But he doesn't even lift it up with his hands. He does it anime style, where he just has his hand in the air and is like, and then hovering above it is the Yggdrasil, because he's making it float with like magic, chi energy or whatever, Dragon Ball style. He's floating, the Yggdrasil's floating, and then he like crumples up the Yggdrasil, like he makes it like bend and break, and everyone inside is like, this is bad. And then he says a really badass line. He's like, you put up a good fight, but dropping a warship on me is cheating. Take it back. So then he throws the Yggdrasil at Bart.
And it's in like crazy slow motion, and it's super fucking cool.
Yeah, so he throws the entire thing at Bart, and apparently Bart, I mean, they're a little vague with cinematography, I think on purpose, but it's implied that Bart probably is not able to dodge that from having a ship thrown at him at point blank range.
Yeah.
And that's basically it for this scene. It's like, that sucks. We just got our ass wrecked. It's over.
Yeah, and I think you get to see like from Saitan's eyes for a second, where he's just like, oh shit, there's like some shit that happened over here. Do you want to save? And like, that's about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what happens is Saitan was in an escape pod which shot up into the air, and it's implied that just like the wind just carries your escape pod wherever. So then he lands, I think, over near the Kislev border. Yeah. And
because he sees Vandercom.
He sees the wreckage of Vandercom's ship and Vandercom's final boss thingy, and it's like completely obliterated. He's like, what the fuck happened here? Oh, I think I know what happened here. Huh. And then he's like, well, this is bad. And then it fades to black, and it's like...
And Luna walks out and is like, that's the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
Would you like to save?
Want to save your game, Sailor Moon? And you save. And because I know at least Sam was a goody good boy, he immediately stopped playing and did not see what happens after that. What about you, Eli?
I immediately stopped. I was done. I was fucking done.
I played just a tiny bit more. Like, I literally, after I saved, I wanted to see just what the next, like, cutscene was. And it's good. It's another classic Xenogears cut to a completely different location and a completely different character, and then you have to pick up the pieces of what the hell's going on. Nice. It's good shit.
So
yes. So
I have a question.
Sure.
Were you being coy? or accidentally spoiling. Is that not Faye in the red robot? Is that not the Weltall?
No, yeah, that's definitely fucking Faye.
Okay, because you kept saying a new villain that we don't know, and I was like, okay, is he accidentally spoiling that this is a new villain, or is that just Faye? Because I thought that this was Faye the whole time. Okay.
Well, like, it's so obviously Faye, but, like, it also is not, like, you know...
It hasn't told us that it's Faye.
They haven't told us that it's Faye, right? Because the robot has the same chest plates. It's got, like, the same boobs as the Weltall.
Yeah, and then it has wings where the Weltall has, like, rollerblades on its back that, like, we don't know what they do, but they obviously open up to these wings.
Yeah, so this is clearly Faye when he goes, like, into crazy person mode, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I will go ahead and just spoil it. This isn't a spoiler. This is just a character's name. Because, again, it's definitely fucking Faye. His name is literally Id.
Oh, wow.
Right? As if that wasn't... Literally, his name is Id. And there's... And you might wonder, does Faye's super ego show up at some point? Yeah, it does.
Takahashi was like, all right, I read watched Back to the Future and I loved it, so I made a video game. Now I read a basic Nietzsche paper and I'm going to make a video game about it.
No. That's the whole id stuff. That's Jung. That's Jung. That's Jung. Yeah.
Okay. I slept through my psychology class. So I don't remember.
Yeah, he's like, I've read Freud for Dummies, and I've read Jung for Dummies. Time to make a video game.
Yep. And by read, I mean skimmed thoroughly.
Yeah. No, id owns, and id's theme owns, and id is a good, maybe sort of bad guy, whatever. So here's the pop quiz I want to play.
Okay.
Which of this game's 50 bad guys do you think is the real bad guy?
Let's see.
If the real bad guy has in fact shown up yet, which maybe he hasn't, or she.
Yeah, I feel they haven't. I feel this might do the JRPG bullshit where the real bad guy will be a bit player from the third act.
I'm going to say the real bad guy was the friends we made along the way.
Which is probably true. Okay. I want actual guesses, and I promise. So here's what I tell people. I tell people this before I ask them the question. That way they know not to read into my response. Regardless of what you say, whether you're right or wrong, I will say I'll respond this way. Interesting prediction. That's how I'm going to respond. So when I say that, don't read into it. Okay, if you had to pick one of the characters we've met so far to be the actual legitimate fucking big bad of the whole game, which one would you pick, Sam?
Miang.
Interesting prediction. What about you, Eli?
Graph.
Interesting prediction. Yeah, that is fun to say.
Miang is feeling like the bit player in Disc 3 type right now, where she's just like knowingly going along with what everyone else does, and that's why I think that she's going to be the bad guy.
Mm-hmm. I will say, as far as bad guys that aren't like, you know, like you said, some kind of ass pull, like Lavos, you know, like a big monster, or fucking, what's it called from Final Fantasy IX that shows up out of nowhere?
I don't even remember, but that one's the absolute worst one. Like they don't even mention it in game. Yep. Like I hate the one in Blue Dragon, but at least Blue Dragon has that one mural in the first dungeon that talks about it. Final Fantasy IX doesn't have shit. You just fight the final boss, and then it goes to black, and then there's another big form thing that supposedly when you beat it, you'll save the universe, I guess.
I actually like how insanely low-key it is, because it's like, it loops around to the point where, like, you're just doing this because it's a video game, and by not even having a cutscene about it, I feel like that almost makes it better. But like you said, it doesn't even break from the battle screen. Like, you're just in the battle screen and the bad guy dies, and then here's the next bad guy. And you're like, what? And the music owns. Anyway, I won't say anything about whether or not that kind of thing happens, but I will say that as far as human shaped characters, there's at least one more major villain yet to make an appearance.
God damn it.
Maybe two. I'm trying to... No, yeah, there's at least two that I can think of, major villains with motivations and plot that have yet to make an appearance in the game.
Yeah. Since all of the chapters are wild and short or long, we're according to numbers of chapters, we're about a third of the way through the game. Eli, do you remember what your play counter was up at when you saved last?
Not off the top of my head.
We're not a third of the way through the game.
Okay, because mine was at 20 hours, which is also the third of the way through the game. But I'm at 20 hours because I fell asleep playing last week, and also every time I play, I'm downstairs, and Scarlett will be like, "Can I play?" And I'm like, "Sure, you can sit here and twiddle the thumbsticks that don't do anything because you don't understand face buttons yet. So go ahead." And so she'll do that, and it wastes a lot of time.
There's no reasonable way the game ends up being under 50 hours, and I'm pretty sure I'm only on like 13.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I figured we were y'all would be at about 12 or 13.
That's what I'm thinking, but I can't quite remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where all the hours do come from, and I'm thinking the dungeons just get longer, basically. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's it for the week. Let's talk about. Okay, so favorite parts.
I really loved the cheesy anime here you can have your shit back thing at the end, but I don't know if that's my favorite. I think my favorite might be the drug trip that Ellie had. I think
that part's good.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
There was also a part I didn't get good screenshots because it was a moving camera transition, but it was like the camera. Oh, I think it was at the very beginning when Sigurd and Saitan were talking. The camera just like goes up the spiral staircase and like in a way where it moves so fucking cool. And there were like 3 or 4 times I think in this playthrough where I'm like, why would any? Oh no, the other one was with Ellie that I was thinking of. It wasn't the one up the spiral staircase. It was you're outside with Ellie, and it like the camera's behind Faye, and it like goes over his shoulder, like through one of the other gears, goes like around the mountain, and like comes up over inside of Ellie's cockpit, and it's just like a fluid movement like that, and I fucking loved it. It was brilliant.
I will say I have one big criticism of my experience of playing this game, which is that you can't fucking screenshot PS1 classics on the Vita.
Dang.
You hit the button combo that is supposed to be screenshot, and it's like, no, you can't screenshot. The only way for me to do screenshots is to use my phone, but that's like takes a second. I gotta pull out my phone. I gotta hit the camera button. And the other criticism is, I never thought I would feel this way, but this game I totally wish had what VNs have, which is you can press a button to make the dialogue boxes go away. Because there were so many scenes where characters are sitting there talking, and there's a beautiful camera shot, and I really want to take a picture of it. But then before I get the picture ready, someone starts talking, and then part of the picture is blocked off by dialogue, right? So, but like if I could have like, hit L2 or something, and the dialogue box disappeared, and I could take a picture of the scene, that would have been awesome. But of course, not blaming them for that. I'm really blaming Sony for not letting me take screenshots. Because I would have so many if I could.
What about you, Eli? You were about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the Ellie drug trip was also my favorite part. Tied with getting the fuck out of that mountain.
Yep.
Aren't you glad there wasn't another boss battle at the top of the mountain? Like I really thought it was going to cut from Ellie back over to Bart. And then it's like, here you go. Here's more dungeon, but it's like inconsequential jumps and nothing for the end of it. It's like, okay, thank God.
Fucking relieved. Like I've said it before. I'm not good at 3D platforming. I just beat Hollow Knight, a game that is designed to be brutally hard, and like I haven't gotten frustrated at Hollow Knight. I've gotten like really, really super angry at Xenogears with its jumping mechanics. The most frustrating thing was coming to the realization that, the game is trying to put me in a battle, but it's taking a while to put me in a battle, but it's decided that I'm not allowed to jump during this time.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I think the reason is because
that inputs at all work, because what it's doing is it's loading up the other thing, and it's getting you ready to load the battle. But like that's the point of the like screen shattering and all of that stuff. Yeah. So it should have ate all of your inputs and not just the jump inputs.
I agree.
It's very weird.
It should not have let me keep going forward, so I'd slide down that fucking cliff.
Yep. Well, it is definitely the case that I mean, I'm not saying it's not fucking stupid, because it is fucking stupid, but I will say, at least in the general defense of the idea, it is true that any JRPG from this period starts loading the battle a couple seconds before the battle actually starts happening.
I'm not a PlayStation boy. I'm not a PlayStation boy. I don't know these things.
In fact, one of my favorite things about video games, I haven't played this game, but my best friend Bernard has, and he always shares the nostalgia for this. The game Skies of Arcadia for the Dreamcast.
Sega Ages win.
Yeah, Sega Ages win. It does this thing where the Sega Dreamcast spins its disc very loudly. The disc drive is loud. Mm-hmm. So on Skies of Arcadia, you can tell when you're about to have a random battle because all of a sudden the disc drive starts going. But here's the best part: when it starts doing that, it doesn't eat your inputs. So when it starts doing that, you can still open up your menu. So say you really need to heal, but you forgot to heal. As soon as you hear that, you just open up your menu and get fucking ready, and then close the menu, and then the battle happens.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. It got to the point where me and Bernard were planning on designing our own JRPG. We thought of the idea that for a second or so before the battle starts, there should be like a little like a guitar riff, like pre-battle music sting, and it's literally to emulate that same feeling.
That's beautiful.
Just as a weird, subtle reference to Skies of Arcadia. And he says that when you play the GameCube version, it's just not the same. That's because it doesn't have that. But anyway, yeah. It's from a technical standpoint, it makes sense because it's in line with other games at the time, but it's also fucking stupid.
Yeah, and like I wish that Sony would do the things that because like we mentioned Sega Ages just now, they went back in and added in your moveset from Sonic Mania to make Sonic 1 not suck, because Sonic 1 has a bunch of like really mean labyrinth levels that it's impossible to go fast in because it was a very bad design choice. Like they've talked about why they did it, and they realized that that's not fun, and they took it out of the rest of them. But Sonic 1 sucks. But if you add in the moves from Sonic Mania where you can jump and then land in a spin dash and immediately keep going, suddenly a maze isn't an impossible way to pick up speed again. You can just do that and you're back to normal. So like they changed the old game to make it better for modern audiences. Sony doesn't do that with their PSN games, so they didn't add in an automatic fast text for this, or like loading in a way that doesn't emulate the PS1 to do this crappy thing. It's just like everything is exactly the way that it was. You don't get any modern anything except for a screen smoother, and that's how you get to play it on the eShop.
Yep. It's weird that there's no fast loading, but I do feel like in a sense it's probably like it probably actually does load faster because it's not loading from a disc, but the game's programming already has these the quirks in it, that are built in to allow for the loading, and those aren't changed. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it's just gonna have to get used to it. You have a battle, and then as soon as the battle's over, you do the jump. That's how it's got to be. So that just about does it for this week. So let's talk real quick about where we're going next time. So next time we've got a longer segment of playing. Okay. There's this whole fucking arc that is a lot of people's least favorite part of the game. It's actually my favorite part of the game. We'll see what side y'all fall on. I don't think it has jumping, so Eli, you should be fine. But
I love like every week where we have like a combat dungeon and cutscenes. Eli's like, oh my god, this was so great. Bart and Faye forever. They're my new favorite OTP. And then this week, Eli's mostly silent because he's just like, that fucking mountain. I'm gonna fucking kill this fucking game.
Yeah.
So
this next section has a lot of dungeony shit, but it's mostly a sewer dungeon, and I don't think it even involves jumping very much.
I worried
but it
Sam.
has a lot of weird shit.
I worried Sam with how angry I was.
Yeah, I messaged him privately. It was just like, are you okay? Like, do you need me to get you chocolate or ice cream or something?
So for the next section, we're gonna have the chapter Kislev Capital. So, spoiler alert. brave battlers.
Okay.
Sewer horror.
Okay.
Battling champ. And then I think also Gear Dock Raid, and I think also Night Purge.
Okay.
What
will be thematically at least where you're trying to stop us?
I don't. So Night Purge, you'll know. It's a bunch of dramatic. It's like the tension is going to build back up to the level of what we just had.
Okay.
Where there is a big plot event at night with a bunch of fighting and a bunch of robots and a bunch of just shit happening, and that should all, and a lot of good drama, And once that all resolves, you might even be back on the world map, honestly.
Okay.
And that is where you will save. I'll give more specific details. I was trying to figure it out beforehand, but I couldn't quite figure it out. But that's basically it. A bunch of the climax of the arc happens.
Okay.
And then you're back. On the world map. That's what we're gonna play. It's a little bit more than usual, but still not an absolute shit ton. So I think y'all should be fine.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
And if it turns out it's not, once again, we can always change it mid-course, but I'd rather not because we need to get through this damn game.
We can, if we have to, we can split up this one episode into 3 episodes like we had to for the first couple split.
Fucking seriously. Yeah, so anyway, that about does it for this week. If you like what you hear and you want to help us cover hosting costs and game costs, which, by the way, we are finally starting to eat into game costs.
Yeah, we got 2 new patrons this week. We got Ace and Kevin. So thanks
critical support for Ace, critical support for Kevin.
Yeah,
our heroes of the revolution.
Yeah. By the time we finish this game, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we will get enough to pay for because they're $3 a month that we have towards game costs. I think Spiffle won't have to pay for his copy of Legend of Dragoon. So yes. we got a cheap game, so we can use this right away.
We can buy one video game.
Yeah. I mean, I already have it on disc and also on PS3, so me and Eli are already covered. We probably could have paid for one more person's, but it's my favorite game of all time, of course. Assuming, of course, that we do Legend of Dragoon, but like I know our patrons personally, and all of them were like, I can't wait till y'all play The Legend of Dragoon. So I think I'm leaving it open, like it's still going to be a vote, but it's kind of been like shot called because it's one of Matt's favorite games. And
if you're a brand new listener and want to not play Legend of Dragoon, subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, subscribe to our Patreon, and you can vote for either Shining Force or Mega Man Legends 2. I haven't decided which one I'm doing yet.
Nice.
But
speaking of that Patreon, the Patreon is patreon.com/RPGBookClub. If you just want to chat, we got a Twitter @RPGBookClub. Email is rpgbookclub@gmail.com. And the Discord has a link in the description. The Discord just gets more and more people, and as the person in the video game said earlier, perhaps it is our fate to be forever at Discord with each other.
Constantly.
So join us next week, where we'll be playing probably all the way through, once again, through the end of chapter 24, Night Purge. This has been RPG Book Club, and I have been Michael Spiffle Webben.
I have been Sam Allman.
And I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
Love you, bye.
So anyway, you go through the road to Nisan, which is literally just a world.
Oh, hi, Scarlet.
Hey, Scarlet.
Want to say hi?
Hi.
Scarlet, did you play up to the end of the Desert Despair chapter of Xenogears? What are you doing here?
Why are you on our podcast?
Get out of here.
Change your diaper, little one.
He's adorable. I love her.
Yeah.
Okay. He was on one.
So cute, babe. Mama did it? Yeah, Mama painted your nails. It's so pretty.
Aww. I think we'll get more listeners if we leave her in, honestly.
Right?
Yeah.
This is baby cast from now on.
Yeah. Just like put a disclaimer on the episode title. Be like, this episode has a baby in it.
You're gonna love it.
We'll play one of those Ubisoft Babies games with a Z.
Yeah.